longer can the media sell this war for Western governments. I thought I'd end with this segment, which is sort of making the rounds on social media. This is Roseanne Barr, who is a Jew with Ukrainian heritage, and she's speaking out about the war on Piers Morgan this week. And watch how he really does not want to get into it, and is kind of shocked that he invited someone. He invited her on to talk about free speech and comedy and freedom of expression. And you can tell, you know, he was not prepared to be challenged on the media's narrative about Ukraine. Now, I'm going to warn you, because I do get notes sometimes about language. I am watching my language. I am trying to. Roseanne Barr does not. So if you don't want to hear some strong language, you can mute for about, how long is this video? About 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Here you go. You've been warned.
I look at the sort of apoplexy that people bring to jokes, to humor, to sarcasm, to irony, all these things. And I really despair. The very essence of comedy, for example, is being expunged from human life.
Yes, it is. Yeah, well, you should despair, Piers, and so should anybody who has a brain or, you know, any humanity whatsoever, or any connection to any other human beings on earth. They should despair too. I say that they are weaponizing stupidity, and people have sunk to such a level that they can't handle satire, because satire is when you take two disparate subjects and bring them together to defamiliarize reality, such as a poet does with words. Defamiliarize reality. And they cannot hold two disparate ideas in their head at the same time, because they're fed bullshit 24/7 over the media. And I'm about to go crazy sitting here on the earphone hearing the stuff you all are saying about the Ukraine. I'm about to have a heart attack, but I'm not even going to go into it. I'm from the Ukraine. There is a large faction of Nazis. I don't know if you know this, but there's a large amount of Nazis in the Ukraine, and they actually killed my whole family. I'm from the Ukraine, and they marched my entire family, grandmothers, great-grandparents, 10 siblings out into the forest and buried them alive in the Ukraine. So I don't understand why everybody's Ukraine. Well, I do understand, and that's also what terrifies me. People better wake up and do some research on their own instead of buying what comes across on the screen. And I try to shake them up, Piers. You're goddamn right I do. I try to shake them up and crack their mind control programming. I do it for God.
Well, here's, Roseanne, what I would say to that. I don't agree with you about a lot of the stuff you said about Ukraine. I know what you said, and you're perfectly entitled to your views. I would say in relation to the suggestion that they're all a bunch of Nazis...
You haven't seen the swastikas on those soldiers' arms?
The President Zelensky himself is Jewish, so obviously he is de facto not a Nazi.
I know, but he's not a good one. Are all Jews the same? For God's sake, talk about anti-Semitic. Just because the guy's a Jew doesn't mean he likes Jews or that he's doing anything good for the Jews. I mean, so what? Who cares what anybody is? That was the whole point of my tweet. Just because they're skin folk don't mean they're kin folk. You know what I mean? Just because they're the same color as you don't mean they ain't trying to lock your ass up. Wake up, people! Snap out of it!
All right. Now, I myself was not prepared to have my opinions disrupted by Roseanne Barr. I bought into the Russiagate scandal in the early 2000s and stopped watching Roseanne because she presented, like, you know, Trump Russiagate as a joke, but like as this, I didn't think it was funny. And I was like, oh, I can't. And now I'm like, well, upside down is right and left. And I love how here he's telling her that her family being killed is her opinion. Like, oh, I respect that opinion. That's not an opinion. That probably happened to her.
Opinion on that. Yeah, like my family was murdered by these people. Well, I don't agree with your opinion on that. Like that,
right.
That wasn't an opinion. That was not an opinion.
I would say no. That's not an opinion. Go ahead, David. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say it's like saying like I had a hamburger that had a worm in it, and you take it to the company, they're like, we don't agree with you that that's a worm. Like, I'm holding the worm.
I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news.